Hello and welcome. It's still breakfast time right here on Plus TV Africa, and this is Off the Press. In today's edition, we will be discussing all of the newspaper headlines so far in the national dailies. And today is the 23rd of May 2019, and being the 18th day of the blessed month of Ramadan, we say Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim viewers. Joining us to discuss all of these topical issues on the dailies, we have Daniel Odupe. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, let's start off with first and foremost, Vanguard newspaper. The biggest headline here, we see President Buhari orders trucks, tankers to vacate Oshodi-Apapa Expressway in 72 hours. Issues 2-week ultimatum to clear entire Apapa axis, and task force compounds gridlock investigation. And to the top of the paper, we also have an article here on the state of the nation. If most Nigerians can't afford basic necessities, how can they acquire capital assets to escape poverty? And felonization agenda, page 9 has details showing car backs. Obasanjo says Nigeria is undergoing horrendous descent into abyss. And why not making of the civil and political activists? That's an article written by Patutomi, page 22 and 23 have details there. And going down to the lower page of the newspaper, Buhari to ministers, handover to the PAMSEX by May 28. Page 10 has details of that. Buhari versus Atiku, Bolkachua bows and withdraws from panel. Page 5 has details. And Zainab, federal government indicts 2 foreign airlines for running drug cartel at Nigerian airports. And talking health-related matters, Lute doctors begin warning strike over shortage of personnel. Page 40 has that. And Masob's 19th anniversary turns bloody, 2 killed, 15 injured and 10 arrested. Well, let's start with President Buhari's order now to tankers and trucks to vacate Oshodi-Apapa Expressway in 72 hours. Is this order enough, and to what extent do you think we'll see this materialize and last? Because some have said these tankers have posed unnecessary, it's been an unnecessary menace, so to speak, that we've let to stay for far too long.
Well, will it work? Is it sufficient? Maybe not, but I think it's a step in the right direction. It just goes to show how much our lack of organization can affect us as a people, economically, health-wise, and what have you. And this is not just an indictment on the government, it's an indictment on all of us, because the owners of these new tankers and trucks are business people, and people, who are engaged in port activities. And, for whatever reasons that they might have, maybe it's more convenient to have them close by and all of that. You just cannot do the right thing to do. It's just unfortunate. And we are suffering for it. Businesses are crippled in that area. The health of people living in that area is being affected. Manpower lost on the road and what have you. So it just goes to show that, look, if we must learn to do things the right way, and if we do not do that, all of us will suffer for it.
And some have also said that, well, the federal government also has to really look into the situation of having holding bays and also implementing a stronger call-up system. Then you wouldn't have all of these tankers and trucks there unnecessarily. What's your reaction as well to that?
Absolutely. A long-lasting approach, things like that, having a proper system, the way it is done in other parts of the world is the right thing to do. You cannot just keep issuing orders and directives. If you recall, so I think sometimes in the past few years, the office of the vice president issued the same order. I wonder what has changed. I just hope that maybe coming from the president himself now, maybe they'll just pay attention. Really.
Okay, moving on to the Punch newspaper now. PDP reacts as Bolkachua quits presidential poll tribunal. Page 2 has details there, and we have a pictorial here. President Muhammadu Buhari with his cabinet members after the valedictory Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja yesterday. Why I did not dissolve my cabinet, President Buhari tells details of that on page 8. And certificate plagiarism scandal rocks Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Page 38 and 39 have details. Kidnapping, FIR's officers, others regain freedom in Osun, Ondo and Ekiti states. Page 4 and 5 have details. And in legal matters, 2 former NBA Ikeja chairman treasurer arraigned for 20 million naira fraud. And going up to the top of the newspaper now, Nigeria must prepare for the next global economic crisis, and that's according to Godwin Emefiele, the CBN governor, and Fahimi Emerges chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum. Page 9 has details, and any government saying he can tackle insecurity is lying. That's according to Shaku. But now, the PDP has reacted as Bulkachuwa has decided to step down from the Presidential Poll Tribunal. And you know all of the back and forth and the calls from the PDP as well. But some say citing personal grounds. Well, is that enough of a reason to have to leave? But some also have commended or hailed her for taking that step. What do you make of it?
Absolutely, this is the right thing to do. It's the right step. I'm not sure the reason matter much, really, because this is a fundamental rule of natural justice that we're dealing with, and the Honourable Justice should know better. I mean, she's in the position to know better. So when you talk about the rule against bias under the rule of natural justice, there are different harms to it, and one of those harms is the fact that, look, when there is a reasonable basis to suspect, or a reasonable basis to say there might be bias, that's sufficient ground. If a reasonable man observing the proceedings could say, look, the way things are going, or based on the facts surrounding the adjudication over this matter, bias can come up. That's sufficient basis to say, and then if you look at the reasons given by PDP, I sincerely think there's a reasonable basis. You want to adjudicate over a matter involving, a political party, wherein your husband and your son, our kind members are, candidates in the last election, they even emerged victorious. You can imagine. There's no way.
But don't you think this application is discriminatory against women?
Absolutely not. Absolutely, it has nothing to do with agenda. Absolutely not. I mean, if you look at the application by PTP, it's solely based on the wisdom suspicion of bias. I think it has nothing to do with agenda.
Okay, now we cross over to this day newspaper now. Citing personal reasons, Bulkachuwa withdraws from Atiku's petition. And Buhari, why I kept my cabinet, retains ministers till the last day in office. We also see here global recognition, the pictorial there. We see the former Secretary General, United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, as well as DJ Copy. The Global Citizen Berlin Festival in Berlin, Germany, just yesterday. And Soyinka backs Obasanjo's call for end to insecurity in the country. Page 8 has details, and Main 1 earmarks 25 billion naira for digital Lagos connectivity project. Page 7 has details as well, and the top of the newspaper, Presidency orders Apapa port decongestion in 2 weeks. Page 6 has details. That's talking business. Still on business front, now CBN's moves to cap Treasury bills investment on settled banks. Emefiele 6 stronger fiscal buffers. But now the president has come out to say that since 2015 he kept his cabinet intact, and by next week Tuesday, I think that's the 28th, they are all expected to hand over to the Secretary of the Government of the Federation now. And he said that he retained every single minister because of the unique qualities that they brought to the fore. Really, though, is that a good enough explanation? Some have described some of these ministers as being round pegs and square holes and a whole lot more.
Well, I think to some extent I agree with the president. Sometimes you don't want to begin to change your players in the midst of the game. It can be really difficult, So
it says they've helped him achieve the dreams that he set up for Nigeria.
Have they achieved this? Maybe not as much as we want as Nigerians, really, but I'm sure they probably did their best in the time that they were in government. So let's just wish them the very best and let's see what happens, basically.
Okay, and lastly on the Nation newspaper now, Atiku's motion rejected as court president quits panel. Olanikpekun hails Bulkachuwa's decision and ex-VP's lawyer motion not personal. And Soyinka cautions government on Obasanjo comments. Page 6 has details. Mobile giant MTN hits 1.12 trillion naira. Page 38 has details there. And ex-chief Amosu in plea bargain talks. Obiano Wike back Femi Gbajabiamila. And oil prices dropped 3% to $70 per barrel. And page 11 has details and talking sports. Now, I played with injury. That's according to Onyekachi. And we see the pictorial here as well. We have Governor Akeomi Ambode from Lagos State, Boyega Oyetola of Osun, Abiola Jumobi of Oyo, Kaide Fayemi of Ekiti State, Rotimi Akeredolu, all Southwestern governors at the forum meeting at Asokoro yesterday. And Fayemi is the governor's forum chair. And police arrest 25 cult suspects, kidnappers. And page 5 has details on Ogun residents' protest. Page 10 has details as well. But let's talk about Nobel laureate Soyinka's caution now to the government on Obasanjo's comments. He said that, well, we understand the state of insecurity in the country is high and do not necessarily dismiss the message. Look into how we can improve on our security situations. Beyond all of the back and forth now, his call is that we should look into this matter beyond sentiment, not necessarily politicizing it.
Absolutely. In fact, for one, I'm really excited that, Professor Wole Soyinka and, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, for once rather, they put their differences aside and they're able to agree on something. And I think that's a lesson for all of us as Nigerians. When issues of national security are at stake, we must learn to, put aside our political differences, our ethnic differences, and put the interests of the nation first. I think that's what Professor Wole Soyinka has done with this comment. Obasanjo is not a perfect man; he has his, flaws and what have you. But this is huge. This is very important for us as a nation. We must not just, just try to cover this up, and we need to address this. There's a real cause for concern security-wise, with the herdsmen, with the Boko Haram and the rest, and maybe because the Fulani has been the ethnic group in power for quite some time now, we seem not to pay as much attention that it deserves. So it's just unfortunate, really. I think we need to heed both Obasanjo and Soyinka's call and look seriously into these matters. We all as Nigerians, regardless of where you're from or your political affiliation, really.
And let's also talk about Fayemi also emerging as the Governors Forum chair now. To what extent this was formerly occupied by Governor Abdulaziz Yari, and now he becomes the chair. What really do you expect of him? Interestingly, I'm not a big fan of the Governors Forum, and for one basic reason, really, it is not a constitutional forum, basically, that is not recognized by law. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's basically a pressure group. A group formed by governors to protect their interests. And unfortunately, most of the time, their interest is usually not in sync with the interests of the majority of Nigerians. Talking about interest now, let's also look at the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit as well, the new guidelines. And Governor Yari once said that, at the end of the meeting, said that the NFI guidelines was detrimental to the interest of states and local governments.
No, it's not. It's only detrimental to the interest of the governors. It is totally, for the protection of the interests of Nigerians. One basic we must understand about governance is that the closer the government is to the people, the better. This is going to, it's going to aid that to a large extent. It's going to ensure that, look, the way the governors allocate resources, allocate funds that's meant for the local government is being looked at. It's going to bring about some checks. That's why I said earlier that I'm not really a big fan of the governors forum, because these are the things that they do, these are the things that they spend the time doing, protecting their own interests, usually at the detriment of the interests of Nigerians. How can you say that a guideline that seeks to
going down to how much they have in terms of manipulating or utilizing the funds that are expected for the local governments, really?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Daniel Odupe, and hopefully you have a good morning and the rest of the day is not as wet as we've had so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And when we come back after this short break, we'll be talking about sports update. Glad to have you back, and we are still within our breakfast time right here on Off the Press, and it's time to talk some sports news updates with our sports correspondent. Hi, Samson.
Yeah, good morning.
Now, let's go into the headlines from Complete Sports newspaper, starting off with the Russian roulette. Abramovich has blown nearly £100 million on paying off Arts managers, and Man City values Sane at £171 million as well. Mourinho rules out Juve, and another one here, Osimhen on fire for AFCON, takes Tali to 18 with Braze 2-1 away win, and now Nigeria's top goal scorer in European leagues. And Eriksen to join Madrid after UCL final, and Aubameyang makes Mkhitaryan promise, and Rakitic rejects United link again. Inter turn to Moses. Conte wants to reunite with Nigerian in Milan. Chukwueze tops Liverpool's top 12 attacking targets. And Conte boost for Chelsea. That's talking about the Europa League final update as well. And De Gea rejects final United offer. Chelsea consider Tuchel as side replacement, and it will be once Europa glory wishes Spurs ill luck in UCL final, and United prepared £25 million Wan-Bissaka offer. And flipping up to the back page of the newspaper, we see the biggest transfer sagas of the summer. Details of that there, and De Gea rejects yes final United offer. But quickly, Samson, let's start off with Ibrahimovic blowing nearly what's his name?
£100 million. It shows you the ruthless streak he has in terms of firing managers. Most times when managers sign contracts, there are various clauses attached to this contract in terms of some sort of payoff, gratuity, whatever you want to call it. The contracts are usually for long durations, probably 6 years, 4 years, and within 2 years, the coach gets axed. So the remaining 2 years on the contract, it has to be paid off, it has to be compensated. So what you have most times is, if results are not going the way he wants, that's Abramovich, he tends to fire the coaches and probably parts away with £9 or £10 million as payoff to those coaches. Now, considering the number of coaches is sacked ever since he took charge of Chelsea in 2003, it's staggering, over 12 coaches, and is being able to pay that much. Do not forget that just yesterday, Antonio Conte, the previous coach for Chelsea, won the lawsuits against Chelsea. Exactly. So they're going to part away with another £9 million. Money being lost. Well, Man City values Sané at £171 million as well. Well, it's worth it. I mean, the market is inflated in in today's transfer business. So you look at Sané, he's still young, he's got a pace, he's raw in terms of his talent, and is getting better, by the games that he plays. And under Guardiola, under City, he has also shown that he's got what it takes to mix it up with the big boys on the stage. So I think it's worth every bit of £171 million. You have Jose Mourinho in the mix, rolling out the Juve move. I think that's shocking because at some point it seemed finalized, like he was going to go to Juve to reunite with Cristiano Ronaldo. Then there was Antonio Conte being linked with Inter Milan. And now he's pulling out of that. It throws up, various speculations in the air because the PSG job is still there. I think Thomas Tuchel would leave at the end of this season, and there's still Chelsea's, coaching job, which seems almost available as well. Mourinho loves Chelsea regardless of how he's left, so he may want to go back for a third stint. There's a whole lot of clubs he could go to, but I'm surprised he ruled himself out of the Juve job. Okay. Let's talk about De Gea also rejecting the final United offer as well. Well, it's sad, for United. But not necessarily a surprise. He's holding on for £400,000 a week. And that's double of what he's currently earning. And you really can't blame him. If a player like Alexis Sanchez has been earning that amount over the last 18 months and has performed so woefully, how much more United's best player over over the last 7 years? He's been their best player 6 times. I think he deserves it. But I think United are also going back to a sort of structure that we saw under Ferguson, whereby players are curbed of the power to really pull out deal and force the clubs to yield to their own wants or demands, as it were. So if he leaves, I don't think United will suffer too much. They've got Sergio Romero as a backup goalkeeper, and Romero is very good. He's Argentina's #1. Is a very good understudy, so he can easily be promoted. And I think it's going to be good news for PSG because PSG are willing to cash in on David De Gea. Exactly. So it's money for United in terms of revenue coming in from a sale, and then they don't really have to go out to get another world-class goalkeeper. They've got to Romero to step up to the plate.
And Osimhen on fire for AFCON as well, takes Tali to 18 with a 2-1 away win as well.
Quite impressive. The young man is really pushing Odion Igalo for his spot in the Super Eagles starting lineup, especially for the number 9 role. And I think it gives Genero a very good headache, because you really want your best players to go for the tournament. You want to have some sort of worry as regards who you have to play, because virtually all players are in form. So it's good for us if Odion Igalo is not clicking. Someone like Osimhen,
continue to polish that goal
really
till it shines bright. And we also see Chukwueze also topping Liverpool's top 12 attacking targets.
Well, Samuel Chukwueze has done so well, from Villarreal all through the season. And I think it's not just Liverpool. A couple of big clubs will come calling. It depends on how much Villarreal are ready to sell. There were talks of just £20 million as is released
talk about bargaining.
And, they want to increase it to £60, £70 million. The market is inflated, so it's quite understandable if they want to do that. Let's talk about Chelsea considering Tuchel. It's another worry for Chelsea, and I think it's not good for them. They've got a big game coming up, in days' time, and that's the Europa League final, next week Saturday. It's big for them because they can end a miserable season with a title as big as, Europe's second biggest title. And you now have speculations regards your coach. We've had Sarri come out this morning saying that if his future is not clear, then it's as good as he not even being at the job at this point in time, because the Europa League final is a big one. You want full concentration on the job. You don't want the players to get a bit destabilized with various speculations coming up. And the Chelsea board has not done so well in terms of clarifying whatever position it is. If you are even going to make a decision on your coach's future, it should be after such an important game, not before.
Let's talk about Rakitic once again rejecting United links offer.
The truth of the matter is, it's difficult for top players to leave a club like Barcelona and move to United. Because what's United offering at this stage? Is it Champions League football or Europa League football? Rakitic has won lots of trophies at Barcelona, is guaranteed Champions League football for next season. He will probably win 1 or 2 titles next season as well. And then he has the chance to play probably with likes of Delete, Griezmann, Messi and the rest. He won't want to come to United, regardless of the wages they would offer. He wouldn't want to come to United and play with probably likes of Ashley Young and co. It's just what it is.
Interesting. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Samson. And this is where the cookie crumbles on today's edition of Off the Press. Make sure you stay tuned for the rest of our broadcast that is coming up. This is still Breakfast News on Plus TV Africa.